Marshal, it is my proud honor to open these proceedings. Here now, in the presence of students, faculty, officials and trustees, colleagues, honored guests, relatives, and friends, the 2022 commencement exercises of the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai will begin. You may be seated.
Thank you, Dr. Kim. It is an honor to begin today's proceedings. Back in person. How about a little clapping for that? For the first time since 2019. I'd like to acknowledge the musicians who led our processional today. Very talented MD and MD PhD students. Thank you, Alexandra, Jeff, Jessica, and Matthew. And now, it is my pleasure to introduce James Tisch, co-chairman of the Boards of Trustees, Mount Sinai Health System, who will speak on behalf of our boards and trustees. Mr. Tisch.
Nobody get too close to me. I took my mask off. Good afternoon. I'm Jim Tisch, Chairman of the Boards of Trustees of the Mount Sinai Health System, and I'm so glad to see all of you in person. This surely beats having your commencement over Zoom. After working so hard in medical school and graduate school, you deserve a real commencement ceremony, and here we are. We can celebrate together in person, thanks in no small part to the biomedical researchers and physicians who use their knowledge, their ingenuity, and their determination to uncover the mysteries of the SARS-CoV-2 virus and find effective ways to fight it. Among them are some of your professors at the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. They deserve our appreciation. You picked a great time and a miserable time to be in medical school. Miserable because you were witness to widespread disease and death. You had to mask up and be vigilant in protecting yourselves and your colleagues. And some of your learning had to take place remotely rather than in a classroom or a lab. But it has also been an extraordinary time to study medicine and biomedical sciences. While you saw the worst of disease, you also saw the best of humanity, and you participated in Mount Sinai's courageous response to COVID-19 when we were at the epicenter of the pandemic. I commend you for your noble volunteer efforts through the COVID-19 student workforce. You played an important role in helping Mount Sinai hospital operations, outpatient practices, laboratories, pharmacy, and administration to get through the worst of the storm. Well done, and thank you. It won't be the last time that you're called upon to make personal sacrifices. Medicine will make many demands on you because with your degree comes obligation and privilege to do all that you can to heal those who are ill. Not only must you give your best efforts to each and every patient, but also to your colleagues. You must give support in helping them advance biomedicine and heal patients. Along with knowledge and skills, compassion is at the core of being a great doctor. That is why Mount Sinai prides itself on its outstanding, compassionate care. What matters now for those of you who are about to become practicing physicians is the application of your knowledge, the determination to serve your patients to the best of your abilities, and to do so with great empathy and understanding. Put both your head and your heart into work. Listen closely to what your patients tell you. Treat them with dignity and respect. As you progress in medicine, remember that the quality of your work as a physician relies on your ability to care, to truly care for your patients. You will have the capacity to make a difference, sometimes a huge difference, in a person's life. That is equally true for our graduating PhDs. Your research can be the key to finding cures for terrible diseases that cut short too many lives. To excel in medicine also requires a commitment to learning. Even after years of study at a great medical school, there is still so much to learn about disease and the ways to fight it. Given your diligence during the past several years, I fully expect that those of you entering clinical care will be outstanding physicians. That's important to me personally, since some of you may be treating me one day. Those of you entering research may make groundbreaking discoveries that will lead to new therapies and cures. Medicine certainly needs a bigger therapeutic toolkit to fight the deadliest diseases that still ravage humanity. We need a public health system that does a better job of serving the public, and we need more equitable health care to address the very substantial health disparities that plague America. So, there is much, much work yet to be done. Whichever path you follow, clinical care, scientific research, or public health leadership, I want to thank you for pursuing the noble profession of medicine. and for the hard work that you will put in to excel in your careers. On behalf of all the trustees, congratulations and good luck. May you May you go from strength to strength. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. So my speech today is given in honor of the late Stephen Southwick. My buddy and dearest friend for 40 years, and a role model for what I will say to you today. Parents and grandparents, family, friends, and faculty, trustees, and honored guests, and class of 2022, it is a great honor to welcome you in person to the 53rd commencement ceremony of the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. Graduates, you are among the most impressive class of students to ever earn MD and PhD students at Icahn Mount Sinai, and for that matter, any medical school in our nation. The class of 2022 has consistently demonstrated excellence, both academically and in service to patients, our community, and our nation. Our graduates have made scientific discoveries that help us understand cancer growth and resistance to chemotherapy, discovered a mechanism that controls the development of muscle cells from stem cells, discovered the potential of a new therapy to limit viral infection, and used machine learning to predict cardiac arrhythmia risk. And they have done much more than what I just said. Members of the class have worked to improve community health around the world, including rural Ghana, Grenada, Liberia, and Peru. And locally, their student-run organizations have provided free health care to our neighbors in East Harlem, science education to underprivileged high school students, mentoring for middle school girls, and companionship for patients receiving chemotherapy. Some examples of our graduates include a NASA engineer whose thesis on human transcription factor networks culminated in development of a research tool used by scientists around the world. An Army lieutenant who served in Afghanistan as a medic and as a Mount Sinai medical student treated Afghan evacuees in New Jersey. Another student co-founded a company that combines machine learning with molecular diagnostics to assist in pregnancy planning. This is just some examples. This is an historic class. Class of 2022, you made history during your second year when the virus, COVID-19, unleashed a tsunami of disease that struck New York City with deadly force. Mount Sinai was the epicenter of the outbreak of COVID-19. Mount Sinai physicians, scientists, nurses, essentially all of our staff responded heroically. Our frontline healthcare workers fought this virus at great personal risk. They demonstrated enormous courage. And our scientists worked day and night in our laboratories to understand the SARS-CoV-2 virus. They developed the best test to detect and measure antibodies, to determine how to treat COVID-19, and discovered a vaccine to prevent serious illness from the virus. And class of 2022, you rose to the occasion, volunteering across the health system to support Mount Sinai's crisis response, even while continuing your studies remotely. You helped Mount Sinai save lives. Adversity reveals character. Your response to the pandemic demonstrated resilience and courage and dedication, traits that will serve you well, very well, in your careers as physicians, scientists, and healthcare leaders. Early in the pandemic, as I witnessed the heroism of all of Mount Sinai in the fight against COVID-19, I felt we needed to document this time in our history. We hired a wonderful writer, Deborah Shupak, to tell how we mobilized to battle the greatest health crisis of our era. The result is this book, Relentless, a copy of which is being given to each of our graduates today. Today, I speak about the moral responsibility confronting you at this moment in history. As we continue to battle the COVID-19 pandemic, the world is facing another crisis, a horrific war in Ukraine. Russia's assault on Ukraine has cost thousands of lives and injured many thousands more, not only combatants, but also citizens. We have seen the pictures of people murdered on the street, execution style, their hands tied behind their back. Russian soldiers have killed women and children, even pregnant women and infants. Vladimir Putin's military has bombed numerous hospitals, schools, and health clinics. The World Health Organization has counted hundreds of attacks that have impacted healthcare facilities and schools in Ukraine. These are war crimes, horrifying and cowardly. They remind us of the atrocities of the Holocaust, atrocities to which the world said, never again. Yet here we are again. We are witnessing the terrible evil which humans are capable, man's inhumanity against man. One of the great thinkers on morality, Rabbi Jonathan Sacks, warned, quote, "Civilizations begin to die when they lose the moral passion that brought them into being in the first place." He urged us to recover the moral dimension that links our welfare to the welfare of others, making us collectively responsible for the common good. We, physicians and scientists, play an essential role in working toward the common good of society because we bring moral passion to our work. That's true for the brave doctors now working in Ukraine and for Mount Sinai physicians who have traveled to the Polish-Ukrainian border to help. It is also true for the work done at Mount Sinai to fight disease, including COVID-19. We, as doctors and scientists, must be a powerful force for humanity, to face down inhumanity, even if none of us can single-handedly stop criminal actors from perpetuating war crimes. In today's world, class of 2022, we need you to be great physicians and scientists who are the light amid the darkness. We need you to selflessly engage in heroic acts. The history of the Holocaust provides us inspiring examples. Doctors like Gisela Perl. Years before Dr. Perl was a gynecologist at Mount Sinai Hospital, she was a physician and inmate at the Auschwitz death camp. There she repeatedly defied the orders of the murderous Dr. Yosef Mengele, refusing to bring him pregnant women for his sick experiments, saving many of her fellow inmates from death. Pediatrician Henry Goldsmith, better known by his pen name, Janusz Korczak, protected Jewish orphans against the Nazis. And he wrote, "I exist not to be loved and admired, but to love and act. It is not the duty around me to love me. It is my duty to be concerned about the world." This is the essence of being a great doctor and scientist. To be a hero today, you don't need to confront Nazis or go to battle against Russian troops. But you do need to work on behalf of humanity, to relieve suffering, to improve health, to save lives, to expand knowledge, and to find new cures. The late Paul Farmer said, "For me, moral clarity is you're in front of someone who is suffering, and you have the tools at your disposal to alleviate that suffering or even eradicate it. And you act." Thus, the degree that you are receiving today from Mount Sinai is more than a diploma certifying the attainment of a high level of medical and science education. It is an ethical contract. It comes with great responsibility to serve humanity, especially at a time we are witnessing inhumanity. The Talmud and the Quran say, whoever saves a life, it is as if he or she saved the entire world. So as physicians, we strive to help one patient at a time. As scientists, we seek one new insight at a time. Every act of healing, every act of scientific discovery is a step towards fulfillment of your lifelong moral obligation. It is a sacred mission. It is a sacred mission. At Icahn Mount Sinai, we have taught you not only the fundamentals of medicine and biomedical sciences, but also the importance of social justice. This must be a commitment throughout your career. The 19th century minister, Theodore Parker, spoke of the moral universe having a long arc that bends toward justice. Martin Luther King Jr. made this concept famous. I can't help with this next remark. Another one of my famous philosophers from New Jersey, Bruce Springsteen, put it into practical terms. That arc doesn't bend on its own. It needs all of us leaning on it, nudging it in the right direction day after day. You have the power to bend that arc. Fight racism and bias in medicine and science. Work for health equity and social justice. Class of 2022, at a time when so much is wrong in our world, when a cloud of gloom hangs over so many people, I challenge you, I implore you to use your great talent and outstanding education to make the world a better place, to make a difference, and to do your utmost to heal, to prevent and end disease, to make great discoveries, and translate that into better health for humanity. Thank you. Now we're going to begin with the presentation of distinguished persons on whom it will be our privilege to confer honorary degrees. Dr. Nestler and Dr. Colvin, move toward the diploma table. Thank you. Our first honorary degree recipient is Faith Ringgold, Professor Emeritus, Visual Arts, University of California, San Diego. Unfortunately, at the last minute, Ms. Ringgold was unable to join us in person. But we know she is watching from home. Dr. Lynn Richardson, Professor of Emergency Medicine and co-director of our Institute for Health Equity Research, will present the degree to Ms. Ringgold. Dr. Richardson, please step forward.
Thank you, Dr. Charney. Faith Ringgold, trailblazing artist, writer, teacher, activist, and luminary. You are one of the most celebrated and influential artists and cultural figures of your generation, having dedicated your life to linking the work of Black artists of yesterday and today, exploring gender and racial identities, and amplifying the struggles for social justice and equity. You were born in Harlem in 1930 and received your bachelor's and master's degrees in visual art from the City College of New York. During the 1960s, you traveled throughout Europe and studied African art, creating your first political paintings, the American People series. In the 1970s, inspired by Tibetan textile art and your travels to Nigeria and Ghana, you began making tankas, soft sculptures, and masks, which you integrated into performance art and which are among your greatest artistic influences. You are perhaps best known for your groundbreaking and experimental story quilts, considered to be among the most important works of art of the past 50 years. In 1980, you made your first quilt, Echoes of Harlem, in collaboration with your mother, and soon began incorporating text into your quilt art, which developed into a unique medium and style all your own. Your story quilt art became hierarchies of art versus craft, and for combining local traditions and global references to express a complex American history and experience. In the 1990s, you also began writing, illustrating, and publishing award-winning books for children and adults. You are now Professor Emeritus of Art at the University of California, San Diego, and the recipient of many prestigious awards and 23 honorary doctorates.
Faith Ringgold, for 6 decades, you have drawn from personal experience and collective history to create some of the most radical and indelible works of the 20th century, producing a body of art that has influenced generations of artists and that has created urgency in our national consciousness around the need for political and social change. Your work is as relevant and essential now as it was decades ago. Forever. It is an honor to confer upon you the degree of Humane Letters, honoris causa. Congratulations. Our second honorary degree recipient is Dr. Xiaowei Zheng, investigator, Howard Hughes Medical Institute, David P. Arnold, Professor of Science, Harvard University. Presenting the degree is Dr. Eric Nestler, Director of the Friedman Brain Institute. Dr. Zhang and Dr. Nestler, will you please step forward?
Dr. Xiaowei Zhuang, you are a world-renowned biophysicist. Your work in the areas of bioimaging and spatial genomics has revolutionized imaging techniques used to study biological systems and understand the molecular underpinnings of cellular function and ultimately human health and disease. The David B. Arnold Professor of Science at Harvard University and an investigator of the Howard Hughes Medical Institute, you pioneered the development of super-resolution imaging and genome-scale imaging methods. You invented STORM, a super-resolution imaging method, and then used this new tool to discover novel cellular structures. You also invented a single-cell transcriptome and genome imaging method called MERFISH, and then leveraged that technique to make a range of discoveries from 3D genome organization and gene regulation in cells to cellular organization in tissues. You received your undergraduate degree in physics from the University of Science and Technology in China, your PhD in physics from the University of California, Berkeley, and you completed postdoctoral training in biophysics at Stanford. After joining the Harvard faculty in 2001, you became a Howard Hughes investigator in 2005. You are a member of the National Academy of Sciences, the National Academy of Medicine, the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, the American Philosophical Society, and a foreign associate of the Chinese Academy of Sciences and the European Molecular Biology Organization. You are the recipient of several honorary doctorate degrees from institutions around the world, including Stockholm University and the Delft University of Technology. And you have been honored with many prestigious and globally renowned scientific awards.
Dr. Zhuang, your visionary work to invent the techniques and technologies needed to then discover and see invisibly tiny things that have deepened our understanding of how molecules in the human body work together to give rise to life. It is a privilege to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Science, honoris causa. Our next honorary degree recipient is the Honorable Dr. Shirley Ann Jackson, President, Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. Dr. Jackson is also one of today's distinguished commencement speakers. I have the honor of presenting this degree to Dr. Jackson. Dr. Jackson, please come forward. The Honorable Dr. Shirley Ann Jackson. You are a trailblazing theoretical physicist and leader in academia, government, industry, and research. Time magazine calls you the ultimate role model for women in science. The National Science Board calls you a national treasure. Since 1999, you have served as the 18th president of the Rensselaer Polytech Institute, the oldest technological research university in the United States. You are the first African-American woman to lead a top-ranked research university. Before taking the helm at Rensselaer, you were chair of the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission, a theoretical physicist at AT&T Bell Laboratories, and a physics professor at Rutgers University. President Barack Obama appointed you to serve as co-chair of the President's Intelligence Advisory Board, co-chair of the President's Innovation and Technology Advisory Committee, and the President's Council of Advisors on Science and Technology. You also served on the U.S. Secretary of State's International Security Advisory Board, and you currently serve on the U.S. Secretary of Energy Advisory Board. I'm not done yet. You earned an SB and PhD in physics from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, the first African-American woman to receive a doctorate from MIT in any field. You are a member of the boards of many institutions, corporations, and organizations, a member of many societies and associations, and the recipient of many prestigious awards and honorary degrees. In 2016, President Barack Obama awarded you the National Medal of Science, the nation's highest honor in science and engineering. The Honorable Shirley Ann Jackson, you have dedicated your career to transforming the future of academia, research, and public policy in the United States and around the world. You continue to make profound and historic contributions as a distinguished scientist and advocate for education, science, and public policy, and you are truly a role model to us all. It is an honor and a privilege to confer upon you degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa.
Good afternoon. So thank you so much, Dr. Charney. It is a very great honor to join the class of 2022 today as you receive your degrees from the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. As president of Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, I am very proud of the long-standing and fruitful partnership between our two institutions. I wish to congratulate the graduates and their families and friends who made this achievement possible. Graduates, the people who have supported you on your journey to this day believe strongly in the vision of the Icahn School of Medicine to transform the practice of medicine and reinvent medical research to produce radically better outcomes for patients. And that is certainly what you did at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. When I look back on my own successes, I too had great support from my family. My wonderful parents inspired a love of learning in my siblings and me, and clearly are the root of all that I have accomplished. I believe that in our lives, a special window in time can open to create unique opportunities to serve one's fellow human beings. A window in time opened for me with the confluence of two historical events. The first was the desegregation of the Washington, D.C. public schools in the year following the 1954 Brown v. Board of Education Supreme Court decision. This meant that I could attend school in my own neighborhood with more competition with children from backgrounds different from mine who introduced me to new perspectives. 2 years later, the Soviet Union launched Sputnik 1, the first artificial satellite, which launched the space race and sparked a rigorous emphasis on math and science in the public schools, which dovetailed with my own interests and abilities. It was at MIT that I truly appreciated the opportunities that life had occasioned for me. My father always said, aim for the stars so that you can reach the treetops, and at least you will get off the ground. I knew that I had been presented with a great opportunity because MIT was then, as it is today, a challenging and thrilling place to receive an education. After I received my PhD, I focused on my research at the Fermi National Accelerator Laboratory in Illinois and at the European Organization for Nuclear Research in Switzerland. After I had launched my research career at Bell Labs in New Jersey, Governor Tom Kean appointed me to the New Jersey Commission on Science and Technology, which promoted innovation at the major public and private universities in the state. But then another window opened. In 1994, President Bill Clinton asked me to serve as chairman of the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission, the NRC, which regulates civilian use of nuclear materials and technology. My tenure as chairman of the NRC coincided with the end of apartheid in South Africa and the aftermath of the breakup of the Soviet Union, with weapons-grade uranium of the Soviet nuclear programs needing better control in the newly independent states. My tenure also came 9 years after the Chernobyl nuclear plant explosion in 1986 in Ukraine. I visited Chernobyl, and under my leadership, the NRC worked to create a strong nuclear safety and regulatory framework in Ukraine, which now is being upended by the current conflict. Interestingly, Ukraine gave up its nuclear weapons under the Budapest Memorandum in exchange for security assurances from Russia, the United States, and Great Britain. Early in my tenure, I saw the need for greater international cooperation to avoid future disasters such as Chernobyl. So I spearheaded the formation of the International Nuclear Regulators Association. The INRA is a high-level forum for chief nuclear regulators. The INRA remains in existence today, with membership from Canada, France, Germany, Japan, South Korea, Spain, Sweden, the UK, and the US. And then 4 years into my NRC tenure, I was asked in 1999 to assume the presidency of Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, the first technological research university in the nation. Now, at that point, my experience in research, national and international leadership roles, and in fostering international cooperation led the Board of Trustees to believe that I could guide Rensselaer through a needed transformation, which we have achieved. Now, one could ask, how does one whose degrees are in theoretical elementary particle physics and who did research in condensed matter theory end up speaking with PhD and MD graduates of the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai? I could tell you that it was because as a child, I would capture live bees and keep them in mason jars under our back porch. I observed how they behaved in relative light and darkness. I was doing experiments in circadian biology. I could tell you that it is because I'm a theoretical physicist by training with an inherent interest in modeling natural phenomena, including in the biological realm. I could tell you that it was because I was chairman of the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission, who visited the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine and became very interested in radiation health effects. I could tell you that it is because I am president of Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. The perspectives I've gained from all of these stages of my career are important, but my role at Rensselaer is particularly relevant because not unlike the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai, we focus on the greatest challenges in research and education, recognizing that they are too complex and too intertwined to be addressed by a single person, discipline, or nation acting alone. Within our paradigm of the new Polytechnic, we serve as a crossroads, as you do, for collaborations among brilliant and motivated people from all disciplines, sectors, geographies, cultures, and generations, using the most advanced tools and technologies to solve hard problems. So addressing these challenges requires new perspective, social consciousness and care, empathy, leadership, and service, attributes that you have been imbued with here at the Icahn School of Medicine. So the world needs you, and it needs you, both PhDs and MDs, to know that the future requires stronger coupling and reciprocity between translational medicine and engineering science. And that is why our two institutions are jointly strengthening our focus on disease mitigation and human health through precision medicine. And this is predicated on engineering being fundamental to the understanding of basic biomedical phenomena and associated therapeutic interventions. Our universities have a shared history, and that was illustrated through our joint work on the SARS-CoV-2 virus, which has surprised us with its ability to develop new variants as we struggle to understand how mutations in the virus, particularly the spike protein, evolves to allow it to do immune escape. But the dramatic development of the vaccines that have saved so many lives also has depended on engineering, materials science and engineering, to protect for the mRNA vaccines that mRNA and to get it into cells. And all of that then, in the end, requires us to understand more about the techniques and technologies such as those that our other honoree have developed and to use them in medicine. But it also requires us to understand more and bring together molecular and structural biology with genomics, data science, and computation. And so the world is still struggling, and it also is struggling with food and water security, with opioid addiction, heart disease and stroke, mental health, cancer, and diabetes. And so there's never been a greater need for visionary and dedicated practitioners and researchers such as yourselves. And so let me just say this. You are equipped to be the caring and empathetic individuals who will make a difference in so many lives. And I know that you have to be motivated and ambitious to be here. And it is always important that your ambition is guided by your ethics and not have your ethics guided by your ambition. I'm so honored to share this monumental day with you, and I thank again the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai for the great honor of bestowing upon me an honorary degree, especially alongside all of you, who I am sure are poised to change the world. I wish you a lifetime of happiness, good health, amazing accomplishments, and much success. Thank you, and Godspeed.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson, and I look forward to the continued collaboration of our two great institutions. It is now time to hear from our first student speaker, Chris Bonabianco. Where are you, Chris? There we go. Congratulations on being selected by your fellow students.
Good afternoon, everyone. I need to start by thanking my PhD cohort so much for nominating me to be the PhD student speaker. And I'd like to tell you all a story today about people. It starts in 2014 when I got an internship in San Francisco. I spent my whole life in New York, so going across the country for an internship was a pretty big move. Such a big move that I had to consult one of the most important people in my life, which is my grandma. Full disclosure, Grandma told me not to go. She insisted that Long Island, New York was actually the biotech hub of America, and she would start a company next to her house where I could intern so I could stay closer to home. But after some convincing that this wasn't the case, Grandma gave me her blessing to go to California, and also contact information from my cousin Vinny and his wife Susanna, who lived in the Bay Area. I had never met Vinny before. He was actually my second cousin once removed, or Susanna, but I took the phone number and went to San Francisco with pretty much zero intention of reaching out to this random middle-aged couple. Throughout the summer, I stayed in contact with Grandma to tell her about my exciting experiences in San Francisco. She was happy to hear my internship was going well and I was making friends, but she also strongly encouraged me to reach out to Vinny and Susanna before I left San Francisco. So to make Grandma happy, I texted Vinny and Susanna, expecting we would meet for a quick cup of coffee or a polite lunch. But to my surprise, Vinny and Susanna suggested nothing of the sort. Instead, they suggested we all take a trip to the Muir Woods together. Those of you who don't know, the Muir Woods is a national monument of California, home to the redwood trees that are up to 300 feet tall and hundreds of years old. Before leaving for my internship, so many people had told me about how magical the redwood trees are and that I had to see them while I was living in San Francisco. So going with Vinny and Susanna felt like it would kill two birds with one stone, and I accepted their offer. The majestic redwood trees would absolutely live up to their hype. However, the most memorable part of this experience was the drive from San Francisco to the Muir Woods. As I mentioned, I never met Vinny and Susanna before. For all intents and purposes, I willingly agreed to hop in a car with some strangers, be taken to the middle of the woods for an adventure, which for those of you who know me is pretty on brand. So I got in the car with Vinny and Susanna. We introduced ourselves, and I braced myself for what I assumed would be a fairly awkward car ride. But thankfully, this wasn't the case. Vinny and Susanna asked me about my experience in San Francisco and the people I met. Much like Grandma, they were happy to hear that I was enjoying myself and making the most of my summer on the West Coast. Our conversation even inspired them to tell me some of their stories from their traveling around the world. Admittedly, I don't remember the specifics of their stories, but what stuck with me was that all of their stories were framed around the people they met. Specifically, they described their lives as a series of experiences where they collected people. And I remember thinking this was a very peculiar phrasing, but they explained it to me beautifully. Vinny and Susanna had many chapters in their lives, and each chapter was filled with exciting experiences that they shared with people. Sometimes they were old friends, other times they were complete strangers who became cherished companions. Regardless, the people they shared the experiences with brought a richness to their lives, and they kept those individuals as part of their collection. I learned two really important lessons from Vinny and Susanna during that car ride, which I think are important for all of us here today. First, I realized that I had begun to develop my own collection of people from my internship and college. These friendships didn't need to end when I left San Francisco or when I graduated. Instead, I could work to make sure these friendships spanned many chapters and evolved along the way. In doing so, I'd be able to keep my own collection of people as the story of my life unfolded. We've all accrued a fabulous collection of people: family, childhood friends, college crews, grad school gangs, med school mates who saw us for who we were, challenged us to expand our thinking, and were proud of who we grew into. These people, some of whom are in the audience with us today, supported us through our journeys to become doctors, and they'll continue to support us. We're not entering our next chapters alone, because all of us will have a collection of people cheering us on. So remember to take your collections with you and work hard to maintain them. Second, I realized that my collection wasn't finished. Vinny and Susanna were in their 60s when I met them, and some of their anecdotes were within that year. They had very recent stories of new friends they were meeting around the world and amazing adventures they were sharing. In their 60s, they were developing deep, meaningful friendships that continued to help them learn and grow as people. In the same spirit, our collections aren't finished. We'll move on to postdocs, residencies, and other exciting endeavors where we'll encounter countless individuals. Future friends who can laugh with us until we cry, encourage us when times are difficult, and challenge us to be the best versions of ourselves. So remember to keep an open mind, don't be afraid to add new pieces to your collection, and don't be hesitant about being added to someone else's collection either. As I stand before you all today, I hope that we can take these lessons from Vinny and Susanna with us as we graduate from Mount Sinai and begin our journeys as doctors. A gratitude for the value brought to us by our growing collections, an excitement for new additions who will be added to our collections, and an openness to be included to others' collections. Congratulations to the class of 2022, and cheers to all being part of each other's collections for many years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Before we begin the awarding of degrees, we will ask the PhD doctoral candidates to take a pledge of professionalism. It is my pleasure to call to the podium Dr. Deanna Benson, professor at Nash Family Department of Neuroscience. Dr. Benson was selected by the graduating students for this honor. Dr. Benson?
So thanks, Dr. Charney, and thank you, graduate students. PhDs now. So before I begin reading the oath, I would like to invite all PhD doctoral candidates and PhDs in the audience and seated behind me to stand so we might all together dedicate and rededicate our commitment to our profession. The oath is printed in your program booklet on page 49. So with my Doctor of Philosophy, I willingly pledge to uphold the highest levels of integrity, professionalism, scholarship, and honor. I will conduct my research, and professional endeavors with honesty and objectivity. I will apply the highest standards of rigor and respect for the generation and application of knowledge and fully acknowledge the contributions of others. I will not allow financial gain or ambition to cloud my judgment or decision-making, nor cause harm to society or subjects of research. I will embark on the furthering of knowledge through respectful interaction and collaboration with my colleagues and community without prejudice or exclusion. I will be a role model and use my skills to inspire, mentor, and empower future generations, instilling in them the highest principles of ethical behavior. As witnessed by all present today, and in the tradition of graduates before me, I do affirm to uphold these guiding principles. You may be seated.
The next phase of these commencement proceedings begins with the part many of you have been eagerly awaiting for many years. That is the presentation of today's graduates from the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai with their hoods and diplomas. First, we will present the degree recipients for Doctor of Philosophy in Biomedical Sciences and also Neuroscience, followed by the Doctor of Philosophy in Clinical Research. Dr. Benson will read the names of the PhD graduates in the place of Dr. Basil Hans, who couldn't be with us today, and Dr. Marta Filizzola, Dean, Graduate School of Biomedical Sciences, will present the graduates with their diplomas.
So you will notice in the program that many of these students have already been honored with numerous awards and distinctions throughout their years at the Icahn School of Medicine. I will now present the PhD candidates in biomedical sciences, neuroscience, and the PhD in clinical research for their degree. Those graduates who are with us today will be hooded by their dissertation advisor or by Dr. Matthew O'Connell, Senior Associate Dean for PhD programs at the Graduate School of Biomedical Sciences. Dr. Alexis Colvin, Associate Dean for Alumni Affairs, and Dr. Eric Nessler, Dean for Academic and Scientific Affairs, will assist Dr. Filizzola, in awarding the diplomas. I will now ask the candidates for Doctor of Philosophy to come up on stage individually as I call their names to receive their hood and their diploma. Pei-Ling Chia. Arika Dalla. Mary Duffy. Ayan Hussein. Allison Khan. Kelsey Lucerne. Catherine Meckel. Cheyenne May. Rasmus Moeller. Sarah Montgomery. Christopher Panabianco. Andrea Parsons. Raveen Ratnasinghe. Jalish Riyad. Maria Supran. Nicholas Upright. Oliver Van Oekelen. Lawrence Webb. Gabrielle Wei. Rupa Iyengar Kabuganti.
It is now my honor to introduce Admiral Rachel Levine, Assistant Secretary of Health, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Dr. Levine. Dr. Levine will receive her honorary degree from Dr. Lisa Satlin, Herbert H. Lehman Professor of Pediatrics and System Chair, Department of Pediatrics. Following the presentation of the honorary degree, Dr. Admiral Levine will address the graduates.
Admiral Dr. Rachel L. Levine, pediatrician and 4-star U.S. Admiral, you fight every day to improve the health and well-being of all Americans. You serve as the 17th Assistant Secretary for Health for the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, nominated by President Joe Biden and confirmed by the U.S. Senate in 2021. In this role, you are also head of the U.S. Public Health Service Commission Corps, one of the 8 uniformed services, and its first female 4-star officer. You work to help our nation overcome the COVID-19 pandemic and build a stronger foundation for a healthier future in which every American can attain their full health potential. After graduating from Harvard College and Tulane University School of Medicine, you completed your training in pediatrics and adolescent medicine here at Mount Sinai. As a physician, you focused on the intersection between mental and physical health, treating children, adolescents, and young adults. You were a professor of pediatrics and psychiatry at Penn State College of Medicine and At the Penn State Hershey Medical Center, you served as Vice Chair for Clinical Affairs for the Department of Pediatrics and Chief of the Division of Adolescent Medicine and Eating Disorders. In Pennsylvania, you served as Pennsylvania's Physician General in 2015 and Secretary of Health in 2018, where you worked to address the opioid crisis in Pennsylvania, improve maternal health, and increase immunization rates among children. Your decision to issue a standing order for the anti-overdose drug naloxone saved thousands of lives by allowing law enforcement to carry the drug and Pennsylvanians to purchase it without a prescription from their doctor. You are a fellow of the American Academy of Pediatrics, the Society for Adolescent Health and Medicine, and the Academy for Eating Disorders. You are president of the Association of State and Territorial Health Officials and an accomplished speaker, the recipient of many prestigious awards and honors, and the author of numerous publications on the opioid crisis, adolescent medicine, eating disorders, and LGBT medicine.
Admiral Levine, for your groundbreaking and visionary work on behalf of the most underserved, marginalized, and vulnerable Americans, and for dedicating your career to improving the health now and in the future for all Americans. It is a privilege to confer upon you the Doctor of Science, honoris causa.
Well, thank you very much. This is truly an honor. It is my pleasure to join you all at the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai to congratulate the graduating class of 2022. This is a very special occasion in your lives, and I am truly honored to be speaking with you this afternoon, and I am truly honored to receive this honorary degree, so it's a special occasion for me as well. I spent 10 very, very important formative years of my career at Mount Sinai, and so it feels very fitting to accept an honorary degree from the institution that in many ways shaped my career. My years here were truly unforgettable, and it's an honor to officially join your ranks as an alumni of the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. To all of today's graduates, congratulations on taking this important step in your lives. You made a wise decision in coming here, and I'm sure you received an outstanding education. COVID-19 tested many of your skills early on, especially one skill you will always need, which is adaptability. The pandemic thrust the importance of medicine and public health into the spotlight. I feel that there are some important lessons of the pandemic. One is that we are truly all interconnected. The decisions that each one of us make influence not only your own health, but the health of your family, our communities, our nation, and literally the world. Another important lesson is the importance of medicine and public health. Medicine and public health have been so important. They have been in the spotlight. Truly, medicine and public health right now and the medical sciences are the center of the universe. I used to think it was Brooklyn that was the center of the universe, but no, it's medicine and public health. Other important lessons are that COVID-19 showed us the depth and breadth of the health disparities that exist in our nation and the importance of health equity, which is really central to everything that we're trying to do at Health and Human Services. And finally, the importance not only of physical health, but mental health. I think one of the lessons for us all is to remember the importance of mental health not only for our patients, but also for our families and actually for ourselves. Realize when you need a break and when you're giving too much of yourself. And you can only help others if you are healthy too. Your time here has given you knowledge and the application of that knowledge and that will be very useful in terms of all of the essential skills that you have learned and you will continue to learn. But you have received other lessons here as well. You have learned the need for compassion and sensitivity, for empathy and concern for your patients, but also for your family and your friends, for your colleagues and yourself. You have learned the need to be calm and confident in the ability to innovate and expect the unexpected. So many people here have been giving you quotes. I'll give you a very important quote. It is from Douglas Adams, who wrote The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy in the 1970s. It's a little dated. In fact, it's pretty old, but I thought it'd be a useful quote anyway. The quote is, "I may not have gone where I intended to go, but I think I ended up where I intended to be." So that's an interesting saying, and it brings to mind a few examples from my own life and career. I went to Harvard College, as was mentioned. I went to the Tulane School of Medicine, and I absolutely I never thought that I would be the Assistant Secretary for Health and a 4-star admiral leading the United States Public Health Service Commission Corps. Like you, many of you, I was concentrating on learning the basics of medicine, how to diagnose and treat illnesses, and I was soon drawn to pediatrics and to adolescent medicine. But every experience that you have, every experience, whether big or small, adds very valuable life lessons. Following medical school, I came here to Mount Sinai for my training in pediatrics and adolescent medicine and stayed as faculty for 5 years. And I was confident that I could tackle the small task of eliminating all the ailments of the children and youth in New York City. Not that I was idealistic in any way. I realized it would take more than a year or two. It might take all 5 years of my training and needing time as a faculty to do that. So I guess it's important to have patience and to set realistic goals. So I might not have eliminated all the ailments of children in New York, even as a resident and a fellow or as a faculty member. But I truly did make a difference for the individual children and teenagers and families that I saw. So on days that you might get frustrated with our medical system and our public health system, whether as a physician, a scientist, or both, or whatever path you take, please remember the ways in which your work improves people's lives and can literally save people's lives in so many different ways. A significant lesson I learned in my training at Mount Sinai was the importance of teamwork. In the clinic and in the hospital, we had to work as a team to take care of the complex cases and children that we saw, patients with very difficult circumstances. So collaboration and communication are far more valuable than competition. I've been thinking a lot about my year as chief resident of pediatrics at Mount Sinai, and to be honest with you, it reminds me a lot of the last year or two during the COVID-19 pandemic, but some of the most challenging years of my life. And leading Pennsylvania through the pandemic in 2020, and then working to lead with many others the United States through the pandemic in 2021. I think that very challenging years, and I think finally now, as the Assistant Secretary for Health, I have as much authority and responsibility that I had as chief resident of Mount Sinai in 1986-87, or at least I thought I had. In 1993, I left New York, and I actually went to the Penn State College of Medicine and the Hershey Medical Center. So literally, I moved from 80th and 1st in Manhattan to rural central Pennsylvania. I really think that that is actually the biggest transition that I've ever made in my life, and that is saying something because I've had some significant transitions. At Penn State, I started and ran the adolescent medicine program. I started an eating disorder program. You know, in Hershey, Pennsylvania, you truly can smell the chocolate, so I thought it was a perfect place for the eating disorder program. But I had another big transformation coming. So as you know, and I'm an openly transgender woman. I transitioned more than a decade ago. Penn State Hershey had a fantastic Office of Diversity. They had a non-discrimination policy that included sexual orientation, but also gender identity and expression. And I was not accepted there, not just accepted, I was truly welcomed for the diversity that I brought the medical center and the College of Medicine. And I strongly feel that diversity, equity, and inclusion, in all of their myriad and wonderful aspects, and the beautiful tapestry that we have of diversity in the United States, should be truly welcomed and celebrated for the way that it strengthens and enhances any organization. And then my life took another turn. I was minding my business, well ensconced in academic medicine, fulfilling all of my missions, seeing my patients, running my program, when I got a phone call asking me to co-chair the Transitions Committee for Health for Governor-elect Wolf in Pennsylvania. I agreed to be the co-chair, but I said, I'm not giving up my day job. My whole life has been in academic medicine. But I did become intrigued by the work we were doing in public health and population health, and then one thing led to another, and I became the Physician General of Pennsylvania and the Secretary of Health of Pennsylvania. Now, once COVID-19 hit, that became my most urgent and primary focus. I am a positive and optimistic person, and I believe that when we work together, we can use those lessons of the pandemic that I mentioned to make better systems, better medical and public health systems moving forward. We can improve our approach to everything from mental health to substance use and overdoses, including health equity, climate change, the health impacts of climate change, and more. But then again, another change. In January 21, about 10 p.m. in January, I received a text from the Biden administration asking if I'd be interested in a job. Didn't sleep much that night. I spoke with the transition team early that morning, and they asked me if I would be interested in the position of the Assistant Secretary for Health. And I went, well, yeah, I would, absolutely. And now I stand before you in that position, a position I never imagined I would hold, but truly the honor of my lifetime. I wake up every day with a mission of helping people, and really always have. And this role lets me help people across our nation by working on health policy. Among my duties, I am the head of the United States Public Health Service Commission Corps, America's health responders. Our public health service officers are the first in line to defend our nation's public health against threats small and large. Our medical, health, and engineering professionals fight disease, they conduct research, and they care for patients in underserved communities across our nation and actually throughout the world. For those of you who are still deciding on a career path, I encourage you to learn more about this amazing group of medical and public health professionals, uniformed doctors and nurses who protect our nation's health. We also have a ready reserve, sort of like the National Guard, where you can be in your field of choice, and then you can also, when our country needs you, put on the uniform and deploy to serve our nation. So in conclusion, my recommendation is to plan big, have big goals for your career. Know that life may take you on many different turns and send you on unexpected paths. But I am confident that your education here at Mount Sinai will prepare you for all of the expected and unexpected roads that you will travel. And please keep your idealism. I'm sure it'll be shaped and tested by your life experiences, but please don't lose your idealism. So I offer my enthusiastic congratulations to today's graduates of the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai. The education that you each have received during your time here, both in and outside of the classroom, have prepared you well for personal and professional success. Like others here, I ask every graduate to use your excellent education to work towards the common good. With hard work and intense focus, your class will usher in a brighter future for our country and the world. So congratulations, you are starting on a remarkable journey, and I have complete faith and confidence in you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Admiral Levine. Now we await our second student speaker, Jacob Levine, who was selected by the graduating Doctor of Medicine students for the honor of addressing everyone today. Jake, will you please come forward?
Resilience. Resilience is one of those words we have all likely heard or thought about at some point during our lives. I'm sure it is one that many of us have come to appreciate more directly and personally these past few years as medical students. Getting to this day has required a great deal of resilience from each and every one of us. As we take the next step in committing ourselves to a life in medicine, resilience presents itself at the forefront, not only with respect to what we will ask of ourselves, but also what we are going to ask of our patients. When starting medical school, I likely would have told you that resilience means pushing through no matter what, refusing to back down or give in. Class of 2022, over these past few years, each one of us has dealt with unexpected challenges and times that we have been humbled. We have learned that we are not invincible, but rather human, and humility is a wonderful tool. I remember vividly White Coat Week first year. Just hours after narrowly passing the first anatomy exam, I was walking across the stage to be dressed in a pristine white coat in front of family and friends. Behind a facade of pride, I questioned whether I belonged. I'm sure I was not alone. Medical school has been humbling, and those first few weeks were no exception. Life throws unexpected hurdles at each of us. I spent most of the first 2 years of medical school battling fairly debilitating post-concussive symptoms from a series of sports injuries. It hurt my head just to look at a computer screen. And the sound of a piece of silverware landing on a table was at times too much to bear. I was running on fumes as I battled my post-concussion reality, barely staying afloat academically, physically, and emotionally, pushing through as though I had no other choice. But this approach was not sustainable or healthy. I ultimately came to understand that I needed to pause and search for a path to healing and recovery. Desperate to get better, I made my way to a sports neurology clinic in Michigan that had helped many athletes with lingering post-concussive symptoms similar to mine. The clinic's primary emphasis was to return to high-intensity, non-contact exercise to achieve concussion recovery. At the beginning of the week, I was asking the nurse to turn the lights off in the exam room because they were too bright for my head to handle. As I stepped onto the treadmill to try and jog, my head got dizzy just walking. By the end of my time there, the doctors and trainers had me riding a moving surfboard contraption while returning ping pong balls and reporting hockey highlights from a projector screen across the table. I was able to do all of this miraculously without a headache. I left Michigan with an exercise routine that I could rely on, a headache medication that was working for me, and a whole lot of hope and determination. I was able to finish the year of classes and head off to Japan for an amazing Sinai global health opportunity to study, fittingly, resilience and post-traumatic growth. While in Japan, I had a dose of bad luck, contracting myocarditis, a very rare condition in an otherwise healthy young person. Unclear what caused it, over the course of 72 hours, my heart slowed to a crawl and my body started to shut down. Luckily, I received great care in Japan and departed my week-long ICU stay with great optimism that my heart would make a full recovery. But with the caveat that I would need to stop exercising for a few months while my heart rested. With the elimination of exercise, my head symptoms returned. With some further pauses, adaptations, and more patience from the people around me than I ever could have imagined, I now have my head and my heart functioning at full capacity. In some ways, I'd like to say that I am my old healthy self again, same as before, but I am not. The struggles of the past few years have changed me in many ways, but I see most of them as positive. The support of my incredible family, friends, classmates, faculty, and mentors has played such a major role in my journey, allowing me to stand on this stage today as part of the graduating class of 2022. I now sometimes smile, even laugh, giddy with joy, at how wonderful it is to feel healthy. To go out to a restaurant or hop into a taxi without fear of getting a terrible headache. I'm thrilled that I can now work long hours in the hospital despite the noise and previously triggering stimuli that just 2 years ago I would not have been able to withstand. I feel so fortunate to stand here with each of you today, immensely grateful for my education and the opportunity to now go on to a residency in physical medicine and rehabilitation here at Mount Sinai. I hope to help patients battling serious injuries and other debilitating conditions as they strive to regain function and their sense of self. Upon reflection, my definition of resilience has changed. Sometimes simply pushing through or gutting it out is not the smartest or the safest path. I now appreciate the importance of listening to one's body and slowing down to ask for help when we need it. Stubbornness does not always equal perseverance. Resilience is not necessarily continuing to try something that is not working. Pausing and trying a different approach is not quitting. Resilience can mean having the humility and the confidence to be okay retracing some of your steps. It is perhaps about finding a new lens to look through. These are lessons that I believe transfer over to practicing medicine effectively, and doing so with intentionality and empathy. This was my battle. Everyone here has experienced and overcome their own battles, and we all have countless challenges, both known and unknown, that lie ahead of us. We have arrived at this day because of great discipline, hard work, commitment, belief in ourselves, and a strong desire to help others. We have all been resilient as we have lived and trained through a global pandemic, adapting week to week to elements often out of our control. We have learned and grown, all the while keeping in mind those around us who are suffering. Mount Sinai is a special community. I am confident that I speak for many in saying I have been so fortunate to have received my medical education here alongside a talented and committed team of classmates, many of whom have become lifelong friends. I am filled with anticipation for each of us as we embark on our next chapters, with greater awareness of how we can create and strengthen our communities, rely on one another to serve our patients with the highest quality of care, and to feel confident in our own inner stores of strength and resilience. I cannot wait to see what we go on to do next. Thank you.
Jake, thank you very much. Before we begin the awarding of the Doctor of Medicine degrees, we will also ask the medical students to take a pledge of professionalism. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Yasmin Mia, professor in the Department of Medicine and our Department of Medical Education. Dr. Mia was selected by the graduating medical students for this honor. Dr. Mia.
The modified Hippocratic Oath was selected by the graduating class of 2022. I would remind you that the reading of the oath joins you in kinship with centuries of physicians dedicated to the art and science of healing. It is our tradition to have all physicians in the audience stand and retake this oath. So I ask that all physicians, both in front and behind me, please rise so that we may together dedicate and rededicate our commitment to our profession. The oath appears on page 50 of your commencement program. Got it? Okay. I swear by whatever I hold most sacred to keep, according to my ability and judgment, the following oath. To consider dear to me, as my parents, those who taught me this art, to live in common with them, and if necessary, to share my goods with them, to look upon their children as my own brothers and sisters, to teach them this art, if they so desire, without fee or written promise, to impart to my sons and daughters and the children of the masters who taught me and the disciples who have enrolled themselves and have agreed to the rules of the profession, to these alone, the precepts and the instruction. I will prescribe regimen for the good of my patients according to my ability and my judgment, and never do harm to anyone. To please no one will I prescribe a deadly drug, nor give advice which may cause their death, but I will preserve the purity of my life and my art. I will not cut for stone, even for patients in whom the disease is manifest. I will leave this operation to be performed by practitioners, specialists in the art. In every house where I come, I will enter only for the good of my patients, keeping myself far from all intentional ill-doing. All that may come to my knowledge in the exercise of my profession or outside of my profession, or in daily commerce with people, which ought not to be spread abroad, I will keep secret and will never reveal. If I keep this oath faithfully, may I enjoy my life and practice my art, respected by all at all times. But if I swerve from it or violate it, may the reverse be my lot. You may all be seated.
Thank you, Dr. Mia. We will now hood and award diplomas to the candidates for Doctor of Medicine. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Tara Cunningham, Senior Associate Dean for Student Affairs, who will read the names of the graduates. Dr. David Muller, Dean for Medical Education, will present the graduates with their diplomas. Dr. Cunningham and Dr. Muller, please come forward.
This part is as much for the families, friends, loved ones as it is for our students. Don't be shy, don't be bashful. Share your applause loudly just so that Dr. Muller can hear it extra special. We will now begin with students receiving their Doctor of Medicine and Doctor of Philosophy dual degrees. Students will be hooded by Dr. Margaret Barron, Senior Associate Dean for the MD PhD Education, and Dr. Talia Swartz, Associate Dean for MD PhD Education for their medical degree, and by their dissertation advisor for the PhD. Sahil Agarwal. Eziwoma Alibo. Joshua Borgadine. You can see the theme here, yes. Sandia Shadrachakan. Nicholas John Heitman. Kip William Johnson. Deepak Kaji. Hope Kronman. Andrew Leader. Alexandra Barrett Keenan London. C-Shot Mac. Michael Lewis Martini. Grace Ellen Mosley. Alexander Reel. Ryan Smith. And Cindy Tian. Next are the graduates that have earned a Doctor of Medicine degree and a Master of Public Health. These students will be hooded by their MPH from Dr. Nils Henning, Director of Graduate Programs and Public Health, and for their MD degree by Dr. Alicia Hurtado, Associate Dean for Medical Student Wellbeing and Student Affairs. Saida Chowdhury. Aliyun Guy. Congratulations. Next are the candidates receiving both a Doctor of Medicine degree and a Master of Science in Clinical Research. These students will be hooded for their master's degree in clinical research by Dr. Janice Gabrilov, Director, Clinical Research Education Programs, and for their medical degree by Dr. Valerie Parkas, Senior Associate Dean for Admissions and Recruitment. Brian Haejun Cho. Ashlyn Dericio. Jarrett Fastman. Akila Pai. Eric Michael Robinson. And Parth Dharminda Trivedi. And now it is my pleasure to begin calling the names of our graduates who have earned a Doctor of Medicine degree. These students will be hooded for their degree by one of several: Dr. Rainier Soriano, Senior Associate Dean for Curricular Affairs; Dr. Parkas, or Dr. Hurtado; Benjamin Olufume Adebite; Saloni Agarwal; Kevin Kepu Ampan Darko; Annie Elizabeth Arrigue Allison; Japjut Kaur Ball; Matadi Ivanov Balov; Priyanka Bodu; Biobala Kristen Braid; Jason Summer Brody; Mariela Cabrera; Emily Kochima Chapman; Aaron Chang; Kevin Chung. Sula Choi. David Anthony Christian. Courtney Ting Connolly. Theodore DePauli Ventruheim. Nicholas Dreyer. Selena Edith Dubin. Axel Yannick Epi. John Erdman III. Christopher Miles Ferries. Ariella Farzan Niku. Thomas Bradford Featherston. Matthew Eric Fine. Rebecca Fisher. Gabriella Frid. Solomon Friedman. Evan Benjamin Garden. Catherine Laura Garvey. Erica Glazer. Jonathan Goldstein. Nikita Gupta. Theodore Charles Hanna. Daniel Peter Hennick. Melissa Beth Hill. Stephanie Louise Hoysack. Stephanie Jung. Arinicha Jamrunvang. Arjun Bacha Kapoor. Alexander Benjamin Carroll. Jim Sung Kim. Zainab Kiem. Benjamin Elijah Kornbluth. Mayrav Kaczynski. Akio Casado. Jun Yip Lee. Jeremy Levinson. Jacob Samuel Levine. Is there a surgeon in the house? Seriously? Adam Yinning Lee. Kelsey Elizabeth Martin. Tyler Graham Martinson. George Slade Melgard. Alexander Douglas Meschel. Daniela Mekalov. Jacob Robert Morey. Evan Mullen. Alberto Enrique Muñez Rodriguez. Sukrit Narula. Roshan Uday Nayak. David Aktu. Oluwafi Ekimi Okome. Femi Solomon Owole. Ishan Dhananjay Paranjape. Sarah Diana Pasick. Andrew Pastor. Ashay Patel. Samantha Jane Platt. Natalie Page Plick. Cassandra Gray Astor Pruitt. Jake Edward Radell. Jacqueline Marie Roig. John Watson Rutland. Alexandra Sali. John Theodore Swartz III. William Harrison Schuman. Alina Siddiqui. Cleo Catherine Sidorides. Nasheen Singh. Ganesh Karthik Sivakumar. Charlotte Jane Solnson. Maya Lakshmi Srinivasan. Anna Choi Stacy. Washin Tai. Lily Tang. Amir Tari. Serena Margaret Therikin. Miyami Adrian Tokiyama. Andrew Warburton. Kristen Marie Watkins. Baggio Williams. Matthew Kirkpatrick Williams. Lisa Hurt Wilner. Dean Wiseman. Emmy Zhao Yang. Ivan Bachin Lee. Lawrence Zeldin. Serena Zhang. And last but not least, Kimia Ziankapour.
Okay, let's congratulate all of our graduates. Now I'd like to call on our Grand Marshal, Dr. Tonya Kim, from our Department of Medicine to officially close this afternoon's commencement.
May I remind all present to remain seated until after the recessional is completed. The commencement exercises of the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai are now concluded. Congratulations.